What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. All right, guys. Well, there's a brand new little kind of widget here on Splinter Cards. So shout out to Splinter Cards for just always providing awesome information. We use it a ton on this channel. So big shout out to T-Hawks and the Splinter Cards team. But now we have even more insight into where all of this DEC is actually located. And it does say data to be verified, so take this with a grain of salt. But you can see here how much DEC is currently sitting in players' accounts on the exchange, which is Hive Engine, right? On land, or staked on land, in the DAO, and with the company, right? And these are the percentage breakdowns out of this total 4.89 million. But ignore the percentages for a second. I just want to look at land because that is obviously the hot topic right now. And you can see about 36 hours into the launch of land, that's what at the time that I'm recording this video, we are not even at 750 million, meaning that we are less than 10%, right? 7.5 billion is the max amount of DEC that can be staked on land. So we are less than 10% going, all right, utilization at the get-go. Now, I wanted to come back and check this once we get to like a week or maybe a month in. Granted, you know, the way that I'm viewing this is that the onboarding, the hype, whatever it is, it's been a little slow when it comes to land. I think that there's just been a lot of momentum, a lot of the wind taken out of the sails, a lot of the momentum lost. And you do have some people that have started up their land plots, but you have many others who are just like, nah, I don't care, right? And I mean, I know quite a few who are just kind of taking a more lackadaisical approach to land. Not because, you know, whatever the reasons are, right? They're just taking a more lackadaisical approach. So taking this back, whatever the reasons are, let's put those aside. My expectation, my hope was that we would see a 30% kind of utilization rate. And when I talk about utilization, I literally don't care how many land plots are being used. It could be like, you know, 90%, 149 regions all have plots being used. What I'm primarily looking at is how much DEC is getting staked out of the total 7.5 billion. Because if land were to be 100% utilized, we would have to stake 7.5 billion DEC. And I know Rooney can come in and kind of mess that up just because, you know, you get to save the 50,000 DEC. But just looking at the rough math of it, I believe if all like 3,400 Rooney plus were used on land, and obviously they're not being, but if they were used on land, that wouldn't even eat up 200 million DEC, right? Or sorry, it wouldn't even save 200 million DEC in terms of land staking. So if we just look at 7.3 billion as the true max, and you know, assuming all Rooney are going to get used for that, we're not even at 10% of that either, right? So 7.3, 7.5, close enough. All I'm saying is that land is off to a little bit of a slow start. Now, I'm not sure why that is the case. My guess is that people got really distracted with Rebellion, right? So we talked earlier about the fact that people are somewhat checked out, especially after the last delay on the 14th. That was just, I mean, if you made it to the delay on the 14th, I think people were upset, but I don't think anybody left, right? I think the delays in August and September were probably the main reasons for that. But then also, to compound that, you had Rebellion come in and be this very exciting distraction for many people. And since we had no idea when land was actually going to launch, when the Rebellion presale went live, which was over a month ago, October 18th, I believe, well, I mean, a lot of people just ended up spending their DEC on that. They made a calculated risk or a calculated move, decided that it was worthwhile. And, you know, Rebellion is going to be right around the corner here. I think everything is pointing to December 5th as the launch date. So that is actually really, really exciting. And, you know, but that does play into the fact that land is probably going to get off to a little bit of a slower start. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, what are the things that can help land in the future? Well, right now, the only thing, in my opinion, that can get land going, or at least has the potential to create some kind of catalyst, is going to be the Land 2.0 white paper. And I know we're expecting that sometime this week, but that's the only thing that we have a time frame on that also gives us a longer term vision. That being said, many people know that Land 2.0 is not going to be something right around the corner. It's probably not even going to be in the first half of next year. So if we kind of scale it back, right, maybe people start preparing for Land 2.0. They realize that they want to have more research. They realize that they want to, get some more SPS or grain or whatever the case is. Speaking of grain, if we scale it back, what are the other things that could help Land? Well, the automated market maker for grain. Right now, from what I've heard, just through secondary sources, is that it's going for like 0.45 DEC on the secondary market through peer-to-peer. Again, I mean, it's still early days. It's still early stages. There's not much going on in terms of Land. I know that many folks are making a decent killing on SPS returns, especially if you have occupied or legendary plots. But on the whole, I don't think that it's hard to imagine that, it's going to increase, on automated market maker or the grain LP is going to increase Land utilization overall. Here's where it could get interesting though. Now, again, all of this stuff is tied because this ecosystem, game economy, is super complex, intricate, right? And just everything is kind of messing with one another. So when I think about the grain LP, that could create excitement in other areas. Even if it doesn't do anything for Land specifically, it could create excitement in other areas. And what I mean by that is if people realize that, DEC and grain absolutely, the returns on that LP are super high. Keep in mind, the fees are going to be 10%, right? And everybody needs grain. People are going to be selling grain, buying grain, whatever the case is. The market's going to market and it's going to find its equilibrium price. But if there are decent returns on that grain LP, well, all of a sudden that could lead to more SPS burning if people need DEC. And you can see that DEC is over peg at this point, right? Where we hit peg, which is great. We've gone above peg and we've already burned, like 20 million SPS since this whole, rebellion and I'll just say in Q4, right, with rebellion and Land. So we could see that come in and start to play into it. We could also potentially see if the returns are good, because the other side of that DEC pair is grain. If grain is good, then all of a sudden you get a lot of people who will turn on their land plots that are probably just sitting idly because they realize, even if I just throw a bunch of garbage on there, I can get grain, and the APR for grain is super high right now. So again, those are the two things that I'm thinking that could help push things forward in the very near future. Now, during the town hall, Matt did ask Farbertrod when we can expect the grain LP. I would say at this point, I don't think it's going to be 2023, right? If Land had launched on November 14th, I was kind of hoping that December 12th would be the day, right? If they could get it done in like a month. But at this point, I don't want to hype myself up. There's a lot to go on here, right? Obviously, Farbertrod has already said that he is coding it or has started coding it, but now he's ahead of the creative team, and the creative team is going to launch Rebellion next week. So let's give them a break. Let's allow them to take a breather, enjoy the holidays, and then hopefully we get the grain LP sometime in 2024. But the other thing that I said earlier is the Land 2.0 white paper. I don't know what kind of effect that's going to have outside of just creating general positive vibes and sentiment in the community. Maybe you get some people who are like, you know what? Let me flip on some of my plots and just start farming, research tokens or whatever the case is. But until we have, and keep in mind, this is going to be a rough draft, right? Not the final version of the white paper, as Matt has said. So if it's going to be that, I don't think you're going to flip too many people into, getting research or whatever the case is. Research is probably going to be the only thing. But in order to get research, you're going to need either a second plot to farm grain, or you're gonna have to go buy grain on the secondary market, which increases the demand for grain. So overall, it's gonna be fun to watch how this plays out over the next, we'll call it month, right? Between now and the end of the year. Again, I'm hoping that we do get the grain LP at the beginning of next year. That would make things super fun. And then of course, the one thing that I keep saying is the what is that called? The titles, the Vonarch title. So I don't know when the prefix titles are going to come into the mix. Obviously, that is not the highest priority, but it was my highest priority. But until we get the grain LP, I don't think we can even fathom when that is going to come out. I did try to put together a rough timeline of if we expect something every month from that list over the next year, that would be kind of a cool cadence. But maybe they surprise us, surprise and delight, and they get us stuff sooner rather than later. But I don't want to live in that world yet until it's actually real. So just taking a look around, land is exciting. I'm so glad that everything works. Nothing was broken. A huge shout out to Farpetrod and, the QA team and everybody that put in a ton of work, really a ton of work. I know this is super late. I know people are pissed and disappointed, but you know what? It's finally here. The baby has been delivered and we can move forward. But it's slow going right now. So I want to get your opinion on this. How do you feel about land over the first, 36, 48 hours, probably by the time that you guys watch this video? Is it delivering everything that you wanted, not from a gameplay experience, but from an economy experience? And so I know this is a complicated question to ask and to answer simply because so much of the hype right now is not tied in, or is tied into Rebellion as well. So I'm just curious to know how you guys are seeing land objectively in a vacuum, if you can. Obviously, Rebellion is kind of messing things up in a good way, but is it everything that you were thinking it would be? Is it having the impact on the game economy? Is it having impact on the token and asset prices, values, and circulating supplies? Is it having an impact on the cards? Because I haven't necessarily seen that yet. I know we've seen a lot of cards taken off the marketplace, but I think we just had a lot of cards on the marketplace that didn't really belong there in the first place. I haven't seen rental prices go up, at least not on my end. Maybe on your end, you're seeing that. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Very curious to hear your analysis, but that is all I have in this video. I'll catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.